spring. Another 4 I've left yet to bring on, of 4 times for the last quaternion, the winter, summer, autumn and the spring. In season all these seasons I shall bring, sweet spring like man in his minority, at present claimed, and had priority. With smiling face and garments somewhat green, she trimmed her locks, which late had frosted been, nor hot nor cold, she spake, but with a breath, fit to revive, the numbed earth from death. 3 months, quoth she, allotted to my share March, April, May of all the rest most fair, 10th of the first, Sol into Aries enters, and bids defiance to all tedious winters, crosseth the line, and equals night and day, still adds doth last till after pleasant May, and now makes glad the darkened northern wights who for some months have seen but starry lights. Now goes the ploughman to his merry toil, he might unloose his winter-locked soil, the seedsman too, doth lavish out his grain, in hope the more he casts, the more to gain. The gardener now superfluous branches lops, and poles erects for his young clambering hops. Now digs then sows his herbs, his flowers and roots, and carefully manures his trees of fruits. The Pleiades their influence now give, and all that seemed as dead afresh doth live. The croaking frogs, whom nipping winter killed like birds now chirp, and hop about the field. The nightingale, the blackbird and the thrush now tune their lays, on sprays of every bush. The wanton frisking kid, and soft-fleeced lambs do jump and play before their feeding dams. The tender tops of budding grass they crop. They joy in what they have, but more in hope, for though the frost hath lost his binding power, yet many a fleece of snow and stormy shower doth darken soul's bright eye, makes us remember the pinching northwest wind of cold December. My second month is April, green and fair, of longer days, and a more temperate air. The sun in Taurus keeps his residence, and with his warmer beams glanceth from thence. This is the month whose fruitful shows produces all set and sown for all delights and uses. The pear, the plum, and apple tree now flourish. The grass grows long the hungry beast to nourish. The primrose pale, and azure violet among the verdurous grass hath nature set, that when the sun ons love, the earth doth shine. These might as lace set out a garment fine. The fearful bird his little house now builds in trees and walls, in cities and in fields. The outside strong, the inside warm and neat, a natural artificer complete. The clocking hen her chirping chickens leads with wings and beak defends them from the gleeds. My next and last is fruitful pleasant May, wherein the earth is clad in rich array. The sun now enters loving Gemini, and heats us with the glances of his eye. Our thick raiment makes us lay aside lest by his fervor we be terrified. All flowers the sun now with his beams discloses, except the double pinks and matchless roses. Now swarms the busy, witty, honey bee, of whose praise deserves a page from more than me. The clenny whose wife is now in th' prime, her shelves and firkins filled for winter time. The meads with cowslips, honeysuckles dight, one hangs his head, the other stands upright, but both rejoice at heaven's clear smiling face, more at her showers, which water them a space. For fruits my season yields the early cherry, the hasty peas, and wholesome cool strawberry. More solid fruits require a longer time. Each season hath his fruit, so hath each clime, each man his own peculiar excellence, but none in all that hath preeminence. Sweet fragrant spring, with thy short pittance fly. Let some describe thee better than can I. Yet above all this privilege is thine, thy days still lengthen without least decline. Summer, when spring had done, the summer did begin, with melted tawny face, and garments thin, resembling fire, collar, and middle age, as spring did air, blood, youth in's equipage. Wiping the sweat from of her face that ran, with hair all wet she puffing thus began. Bright June, July and August hot are mine, in th' first Sol doth in crabbed Cancer shine. His progress to the north now's fully done, then retrograde must be my burning sun, who to his southward tropic still is bent. Yet doth his parching heat but more augment though he decline, because his flames so fair, have throughly dried the earth, and heat the air. Like as an oven that long time hath been heat, whose vehemency at length doth grow so great, that if you do withdraw her burning store, 'tis for a time as fervent as before. Now go those frolic swains, the shepherd lads, to wash the thick clothed flocks with pipes full glad. In the cool streams they labor with delight, rubbing their dirty coats till they look white, whose fleece when finely spun and deeply dyed with robes thereof kings have been dignified. Blessed rustic swains, your pleasant quiet life hath envy bred in kings that were at strife. Careless of worldly wealth you sing and pipe, whilst the ear embroiled in wars and troubles rise, which made great Bajazet cry out in woes. O happy shepherd which hath not to lose Orthobulus, nor yet Sebastia great, but whistleth to thy flock in cold and heat. Viewing the sun by day, the moon by night and Dimeans, Diana's dear delight, upon the grass resting your healthy limbs, by purling brooks looking how fishes swims. If pride within your lowly cells e'er haunt, of him that was shepherd then king go vaunt. This money the roses are distilled in glasses, whose fragrant smell all made perfume surpasses the cherry, gooseberry are now in th' prime, and for all sorts of peas. This is the time. July my next, the hottest in all the year, the sun through Leo now takes his career, whose flaming breath doth melt us from afar, increased by the star Canicula. This month from Julius Caesar took its name, by Romans celebrated to his fame. Now go the mowers to their slashing toil, the meadows of their riches to despoil. With weary strokes, they take all in their way, bearing the burning heat of the long day. The forks and rakes do follow them amain, which makes the aged fields look young again. The groaning carts do bear away this prize, to stacks and barns where it for fodder lies. My next and last is August fiery hot, for much, the southward sun abateth not. This month he keeps with Virgo for a space, the dried earth is parched with his face. August of great Augustus took its name, Rome's second emperor of lasting fame. With sickles now the bending reapers go the rustling tress of terror down to Merva, and bundles up in sheaves, the weighty wheat, which after manchet makes for kings to eat. The barley, rye and peas should firsted place, although their bread have not so white a face. The carter leads all home with whistling voice. He ploughed with pain, but reaping doth rejoice. His sweat, his toil, his careful wakeful nights, his fruitful crop abundantly requites. Now's ripe the pear plum, and apricot, the prince of plums, whose stones as hard as rock the summer seems but short. The autumn hastes to shake his fruits, of most delicious tastes like good old age, whose younger juicy roots hath still ascended, to bear goodly fruits. Until his head be grey, and strength be gone, yet then appears the worthy deeds he'th done. To feed his boughs exhausted hath his sap, then drops his fruits into the eater's lap. Autumn. Of autumn months September is the prime, now day and night are equal in each clime. The 12th of this sol riseth in the line, and doth in poising Libra this month shine. The vintage now is ripe, the grapes are pressed, whose lively liquor oft is cursed and blessed, for naught so good, but it may be abused, but it's a precious juice when well it's used. The raisins now in clusters dried be, the orange, lemon dangle on the tree, the pomegranate, the fig are ripe also, and apples now their yellow sides do show. Of almonds, quinces, wardens, and of peach, the season's now at hand of all and each. Sure at this time first of all began, and in this month was made apostate man. For then in Eden was not only seen, boughs full of leaves, or fruits unripe or green, or withered stalks, which were all dry and dead, but trees with goodly fruits replenished, which shows nor summer, winter nor the spring. Our grandsire was of paradise made king, nor could that temperate clime such difference make, if cited as the most judicious take. October is my next, we hear in this the northern winter blasts begin to hiss. In Scorpio resideth now the sun, and his declining heat is almost done. The fruitless trees all withered now do stand, whose sapless yellow leaves, by winds are fanned, which notes when youth and strength have passed their prime. Decrepit age must also have its time. The sap doth slyly creep towards the earth there rests, until the sun give it a birth. So doth old age still tend unto his grave, where also he his winter time must have, but when the sun of righteousness draws nigh, his dead old stock shall mount again on high. November is my last, for time doth haste, we now of winter's sharpness gins to taste. This month the sun's in Sagittarius, so far remote, his glances warm not us. Almost at shortest is the shortened day, the northern pole beholdeth not one ray. Now Greenland, Groenland, Finland, Lapland, see no sun, to lighten their obscurity, poor wretches that in total darkness lie. with minds more dark than is the darkened sky. Beef, brawn, and pork are now in great request, and solid meats our stomachs can digest. This time warm clothes, full diet, and good fires, our pinched flesh, and hungry maws requires. Old, cold, dry age and earth autumn resembles, and melancholy which most of all dissembles. I must be short, and shorts, the shortened day, what winter hath to tell. Now let him say, winter. Cold, moist, young phlegmy winter now doth lie in swaddling clouds, like new-born infancy bound up with frosts, and furred with hail and snows, and like an infant, still it taller grows. December is my first, and now the sun doth southward tropic, his swift race doth run, this moneth his house in-horned Capricorn. From thence he gins to length the shortened morn, through Christendom with great festivity, now's held, Buddhist, for blessed nativity. Cold frozen January next comes in, chilling the blood and shrinking up the skin. In Aquarius now keeps the long-wished sun, and northward his unwearied course doth run. The day much longer than it was before, the cold not lessened, but augmented more. Now toes and ears, and fingers often freeze, and travellers their noses sometimes lease. Moist snowy February is my last, I care not how the winter time doth haste. In Pisces now the golden sun doth shine, and northward still approaches to the line. The rivers gin to ope, the snows to melt, and some warm glances from his face are felt, which is increased by the lengthened day, until by his heat, he drive all cold away, and thus the year in circle runneth round, where first it did begin, in fend it's found. My subjects spare, my brain is bad, or better lines you should have had. The first fell in so naturally, I knew not how to pass it by. The last, though bad I could not mend, except therefore of what is penned, and all the faults that you shall spy shall at your feet for pardon cry.